And now it's time for the Jedi Academy with your host, Finity. Yep. Nope. See, it's things like that that happen when Ranger isn't around. So I am Finity, hosting once again in substitution for Ranger here on Jedi Academy this week. Hope you guys have got your coffee, your popcorn, and whatever else it is that you guys want. We have a good panel lined up again for you guys today. We have, starting off with Mr. Sir Loki. Mr. Sir Loki, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm good, Finn. Thanks for having me on. It's a bright and early morning for me, so I'm just trying to wake up, but excited to talk about Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes.
This is kind of a weird lifestyle, right? You get up early in the morning and have to talk about a game.
Yes, only for you.
Well, I appreciate that. And if you notice on the screen, we have a new logo for Mr. Sir Loki. After last week, and people thought about that his wasn't as animated enough, he now has lightning in the background. He has a moving waterfall, which if you maximize your screen, you can see. So his is getting fancy. And I didn't want to be left out, so I got a new one for the RSG one too. So putting that up there. And next we have Mr. Mike Hunt. So Mr. Mike Hunt, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Yes, I think. Yeah. My house has been descended upon. I've been banished to an upstairs room just to try and escape from the amount of estrogen that's flowing in my home at this moment in time.
Somehow I feel like that needs more questions. So if you want to ask more questions about why there's so much estrogen in Mike Hunt's house, go ahead and ask those questions and we'll collect them for later. And we have the Darth Lady of the Sith herself, Miss Darth Bella. How are you this morning, Miss Bella?
I'm fine, thank you. Great to be on the show.
All right. And one of our usual panelists, Warrior, he is out today. He is out in the woods somewhere, so we're hoping for his safe return. And I'm sure he's having a lot of fun over there and missing talking to you guys, so we'll definitely catch up with him after. And
I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't meet the Ewoks.
Why? They're so cute and cuddly.
Ah, murder bears.
My murder bear sang a song for me at the beginning of the stream, so I'm happy with my murder bear. I should probably take that picture down before Ranger kills me when he comes back. So we'll go back to our normal screen there. And Ranger is out for his birthday, so I think we should all wish happy birthday to Ranger. Happy birthday, Ranger.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, Ranger. Remember, you can't drink in your condition.
So you just revealed to everyone that Ranger is pregnant. I don't know why you would do such a thing, Mike.
No, that was revealed on Wednesday's stream. That was yours. He revealed it himself.
All right. Well, when we know what kind of Ewok Ranger is having, we'll let you guys know. So let's go ahead and jump into the questions here. So if you guys have any questions, please make sure to put them into the chat. We'll collect them for now, and then we'll start answering them. But as usual, we're going to start off with kind of some of the news that's been going around. So I want to start off with Mr. Loki. And one of the things that's happened is that we've been introduced now to the new Ewoks. There's 3 new Ewoks, Paploo, Logray, and Wicket. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your thoughts about Paploo?
So Paploo looks pretty interesting. If you go to Star Wars SWGOH.GG, so they got his whole kit up there. I'm not gonna go through the whole kit like in detail like that. I mean, I'll go through each basic and special and see how viable it is. But he's pretty interesting. So he has a dispel on his basic. It's called Vigilant Strike, and not only that, it what does it also do? It does defense up. So he's he's a defensive tank. He's got a taunt, and then he's got a dispel, right? So he does call assists. So that's he's got a lot of stuff going on, which is great. And we're noticing that a lot with the new characters now is they're they're like loading up these characters with like 3, 4, 5 abilities and stuff like that. So there's multiple abilities that are useful. Definitely dispels are still useful, and then calling the Ewoks to assist is very good, especially if you're going to run the whole faction. Then he's got one special called Diversion. It's deal physical damage to target enemy, inflict speed down, and then Paploo gains the taunt, right, for 2 turns. What's interesting, I'm actually just going to jump to his unique. So it seems like his unique is called Don't Hold Back. Whenever Paploo gains a status effect, he recovers 5% health and protection. So that looks like it's his Zeta, according to SWGOH.gg. And then the other interesting thing on his unique is when he gains stealth, he dispels stealth, and then he gains taunt. So it's almost like a semi-auto taunt, but you need the stealth mechanic, right? So right off the bat, I think running maybe a Tebow lead with the Ewoks and then Paploo, you might be able to exploit that a bit. Not sure if you want to slide R2 in, because R2 has great synergy, but he is not an Ewok, right? So it just looks like with all the Game Changers footage that you're going to have to run a full faction to get the benefit of everybody. But going back up to his second special, which is Galvanize, dispel all debuffs for Paploo and target other ally. If the target other allies in Ewok, they're called to assist and they gain 10% turn meter. So sounds okay. I mean, just a lot of assisting chance here and a little bit of turn meter gain there. And again, he's got a dispel for himself. So I guess we're going to have to wait and see, but it sounds like you got to use him in a full faction is what I'm getting at to take advantage of his whole kit. But it does look impressive.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys have thought about it either, Mike or Bella, in terms of not just an Ewok faction, but maybe where he could fit in otherwise. I was kind of thinking his unique might work well in like a phase 3 squad with like Turpentine, where he's actually the one of the taunters, simply because he will gain a little bit of health and protection back whenever he gains a negative status, and he gains some because of B2 in that. So I don't know if maybe that's a potential for him. Mike, have you thought about any other potential uses for this particular teddy bear?
The fact that he's got Dispel on his basic would say that maybe he's the most arena viable of all of them. I mean, as it's on his basic, yeah. So it's difficult to tell because I'm guessing that we've all seen like seven different commentaries to the same footage recently, and that's not a slur at all on what everyone's released. It's more a case of, couldn't they have all had something slightly different rather than just showing us exactly the same scenarios and team makeup and everything? Really, I'm not getting it yet. My suspicion is that Ewoks are going to be necessary, but we haven't experienced the reason why they're going to be necessary.
Right. And what about you, Miss Bella?
What about me? Sorry, I just lost the...
You're playing GW, aren't you? See, this is what happens when Missy starts this stuff. Everyone just comes here and starts doing GW.
No, I'm not. I just lost the chat, so I'm not quite sure which question you're referring.
What do you think about Paploo?
Ah, okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, well, so far I haven't really got a feeling for the new Ewoks. I mean, we've seen what they can do, or seem to be like they gain more importance and have better abilities than what we are used to from Ewoks, but has a dispel, he looks not so bad actually. Actually, 2 dispels if I see that right. Yeah. Looks okay. And
it's kind of like a cleanse, right? I mean, it's kind of deceiving to read this because they call it dispel, but he's really cleansing himself, and then he can dispel the other team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a.
Yeah.
I think they did it with another character like
an
this.
actual dispel.
Yeah.
They need to change that terminology because even at EA Play, like Cozy called it a cleanse. So maybe they should just make it so when they're dispelling buffs off your character, they just rename that to cleanse instead of dispel. Makes it very confusing. Alright. So then the other character is Logray. And I know, Mike, I think you had a chance to look at Logray a little bit here.
Yes. Yes, I still have a chance to look at Logray a little bit here. So, Logray, he's the vertically striped furry person. I normally use another F word rather than person, but yeah, I love my furry people. Yeah, and I was very, very pleased to hear that they were getting work done. Definitely. So Logray, what is he? He is an Ewok support. I'm not reading this at all. Don't worry. Sage Ewok support who can daze enemies and grant Ewok allies many buffs. I have a photographic memory. I did not just read that.
That's amazing.
Yeah. He actually, again, I mean, he looks quite interesting. He does. He's bringing a lot to the party for sure. His basics: mystical strike, deal physical damage to target enemy, and gain tenacity up for 2 turns. And when you chuck an Amiga onto that, if an Ewok calls, or if an Ewok ally calls Logray to assist, they also gain tenacity up for 2 turns. Tenacity up, as we all know, except against maybe Nihilus, until they nerf that. They better not nerf that. Don't you nerf that Nihilus. Sorry, that was a message. Subliminal.
Yes, very, very subtle there.
That's my specialty. So it's giving him and whoever calls him in as an assist tenacity up. So he's throwing out buffs. Okay, I may have got it wrong in regards to who's viable where, because Logray's second attack and ability, cooldown of 4, which reduces to 3 on his Amiga, is Hypnotize. And Logray is now going to become only the second character who can inflict daze on all enemies. So that means that he'll be a P1 option for your GK Sync teams and whatever. So Hypnotize is dispel all buffs and remove 100% turn meter from target enemy. Inflict daze on all enemies for 2 turns. This attack can't be evaded. I mean that's with the Amiga, but that's an ability. That is a viable ability anywhere. I'm not sure, but I believe he's fairly tanky as well, isn't he? His support, so chances are he will be.
Yeah, he's 17.7 health and 22.5 protection. So he's not super tanky, but he's pretty good for a support.
Yeah, he's going to have survivability. And therefore be able to throw those daisies out. Yeah, I mean that puts him against any countering squad. He's a consider if you're not, if you don't want to run Sith, for example. Because of course Maul is the only other toon that will actually deliver days on an AoE.
Right.
Yeah. His third one's prophetic visions. Yeah, he's been chomping on the magic mushrooms again, hasn't he?
That's what you got to do in the forest when you have nothing else to do.
Well, exactly. Yeah. I mean, why do you think they're all glassy-eyed and have funny looks on their faces? Yeah, it's the shrooms, I tell you, the shrooms. Either that or it's alcoholic stormtroopers that they eat. I'm not sure. What have we got here? All allies gain 20% turn meter. Ewok allies gain foresight for 2 turns. Oh God, it's another foresight. Yeah. I love foresight. Foresight on my squad is brilliant. Foresight on theirs is really annoying.
But they actually gain foresight advantage and offense.
I just clicked on the Omega. Yeah.
But he clicked on the Omega in his memory. Remember, he is not reading this. This is all in his memory. He just clicked on that Omega icon in his head.
You see, it's a photographic memory. It goes in stages, and I'd clicked on the 7, and then I went on to the 8. Exactly. Yeah. But yeah. So, City, isn't it? It really is Buff City.
That's not bad. And they get the 20% turn meter.
I was going to say.
That's nuts.
And I mean, the Ewoks they are the Duracell bunnies. I mean, I loved the Ewoks even before they got the rework. My guild laughed that when I joined, I wasn't there from day one, but I think I've clocked up a year now. In the same guild, but when I joined, I was using my Ewoks in the Rancor raid. I was still using them, but that was pre-level cap. So or the level was increasing. I mean the synergy that they have and the turn meter that they were gaining before this buff was I'm trying to think. Who was it? Arnold that said that Ewoks are it's death by 1,000 cuts. I apologize immediately if I've quoted or cited the wrong person there, but that is Ewoks all over. They don't hit hard, but when they've hit you like 17 times, you're gonna go down, and that's kind of where they are, isn't it? But they're getting a bit of beef with some of the new ones. They do look good. They do. And the last one for Logray is Shaman's Insight. Shaman. I'm going with Shaman. Whenever an Ewok ally scores a critical hit, Logray gains 5% turn meter. The fairy people, that's what they do. They crit. They really do crit. And when you chuck, now I'm thinking, if I remember rightly, there's lots of writing for his 8th ability on here, or level 8 on here. So I'm assuming that this might be a Zeta rather than an Omega. But while Logray is active, whenever an Ewok ally scores a critical hit, that ally gains health up for 2 turns, and then all Ewok allies with health up recover 10% health. So, I mean, yeah. So he's buffing them, he's healing them, he's dazing the enemy, so he's cutting down on counters and assists. He's got a cool skill set, and he kind of looks like a 1920s convict with his vertical stripes. He's a bad boy. You may say he's support, but he looks to be a bit of a bad boy. Yeah, I'm liking Logray.
So, I think you've done some work with the Kenobi sync team, right, Loki?
Yes.
So, what do you think about his unique? I know there was discussion about him potentially replacing Maul in that team since he has an AoE days as well. But with his unique, if he scores a crit, he would gain 5% turn meter. So he could potentially outlive his retribution, right? Could that be potentially a bad thing to substitute Logray in for Maul?
Yeah, that is something to consider. I mean, it's only so if he's the only Ewok, though, he's going to be gaining 5%. You might be able to get by as long as they start the loop, the retribution loop of the Kenobi sync, and his turn meter's like really low, right? I haven't counted how many attacks you can really pull off. But yes, that is something to consider. I do like his base speed is better than Maul, so it seems like he can get the days off faster with you don't need as aggressive speed mods on him, right? So, but the thing that Maul brings to the table, just he has a really hard hitting basic, so you are going to give some of that up.
Right. All right. And then we have our last Ewok, which is Wicket. Now, Wicket hasn't been officially released yet. He was discussed in a bunch of different ways as to how he might be released, but the devs came out this week and said that it would be in a marquee event. So we can expect that we would pretty much get him 3-star, halfway to 4-star roughly at the end of the event. And they did a podcast, I think it was I'm Not Really a Jedi and Top Hat, that did a podcast and basically talked about Wicket and what his abilities were going to be. So the curious one to me, so the basic and the specials are somewhat standard. The basic is deal target enemy, gain crit chance, and then anyone who Wicket assists will also gain critical chance up. You got an AoE special, and then you got a target assist special. But his unique is really interesting. So it was, I believe it's going to be called Furtive Tactics, and Wicket gains 10% crit damage for each living Ewok ally and stealth ally, and the stealth may give an additional bonus, so they have to see how the mechanism works on that. And then at the end of each turn, Wicket has a 50% chance to take another turn. If he took an extra turn, it is reduced by 10% chance. What's not clear is whether or not this is going to be cumulative over a fight or over an individual round. So essentially, a curious mechanism is if Wicket goes, he has a 50% chance to attack, he attacks, then he has a 40% chance, he might be able to attack again, then a 30% chance, may be able to attack again, then 20%, then 10%. So it's possible he can attack 6 times in a row if you, with RNG, good or bad, depending on whether or not you're facing him. But it's not clear as to whether or not it'll remain 0 until the end of the fight, or it will remain 0 until he doesn't get that second or that extra attack at the end of the turn. So we'll have to see how that works. And then he's going to have a Zeta unique, which will be whenever he scores a critical hit, all Ewoks gain 4% health and 4% protection. So it looks like protection gain is something that they're working on kind of overall in this game. What do you think about the unique of this character, Miss Bella? Did we lose Miss Bella? I think she's muted.
Ordering a McDonald's.
No, she's doing GW. See, she's lying to us. She's doing
Eine Mocha. Bitte.
I'm just drinking a little bit of coffee here, and I don't want you to. I mean, I muted the mic, right? But I didn't get what Wicket's unique was.
So it's essentially at the end of each of his turn, he has a chance for an additional attack. So an additional turn. So not just an attack, but an additional turn. And so it starts off at 50%, then it goes down by 10% each time he gets that extra. So it'll go from 50 to 40 to 30 to 20 to 10. Not clear whether or not it will reset at the end of each turn or whether it'll reset at the end of a battle. So once you're down to 0%, it stays 0% or not. But it's an interesting mechanism, so what do you think about that?
It's definitely a new mechanism. Must say, it sounds very good, even though it's just a chance. I mean, 50% chance, you said, right?
At the beginning, yes. It starts off at 50%.
Okay. But the fifth, does it mean he attacks maybe 50 and the next one is a 40, another turn for 40% chance?
Yeah, so at the end
So
of that turn, it sounds like he would be down to 40%. And 40% chance for him.
He could attack 6 times then.
Yep.
Wow. That's really great.
or really bad if you're facing him.
I wonder if we could, if it's really 50, 40, 30, and who will be the first to see this 6 attacks?
I'm sure we will hear it on Reddit.
Yeah, and I hope they record it. It's a good attack. It's a good ability, I think. But well, we'll see when he's in game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And anyone else fearful that the only time that you're really going to see that is when you're facing it and AI gets it?
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
It's going to be a TFP all over again, isn't it?
And Leia. My Leia never triple attacked, but every time I faced one, there she was, triple attacking everyone.
Yep. Well, they get the AI buff that we all think it gets, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
that's going to be an interesting time. As soon as Wicket comes out, the first person to have him, and then everyone's recording how many times he 6 attacks. So we have 3 new ones in the game here. So just let's go around really quick. Who is your favorite out of the 3? It can be your favorite character. It can be the one with the kit that you like the most. But who do you like the most? Let's start with Loki.
I'm reviewing Wicket real quick, but the Wicket one sounds cool. I'm leaning toward him. I mean, Logray looks really strong. I'm torn between those 2, but I am going to say Wicket because I like his unique. I mean, we were talking about it, and I keep reading it more, and it just sounds cool. I'm thinking of myself what lead I'm going to run. I'm leaning toward Tebow. I mean, like I mentioned with Paploo and Wicket, and then even just running Logray, like all 3 of them with a Tebow lead, so you can take advantage of the stealth mechanic, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we got 2 leaders. We got Chirpa, sorry, and Tebow, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
So, I would say Wicket. He just has the most. It's the new flavor, right? I mean, it's a new mechanic, and I'm excited to see how it works. So, I will say Wicket right now.
All right, Mike.
For me, I think Logray takes it just because he's got a dead bird on his head. I mean,
80s prisoner with his bird on his head.
Yeah. He's dressed like an escaped convict or whatever, a convict, and he's got a bird skull on his head, and he can daze. So he'll hit you and you can't hit him back. I mean, yeah, Logray.
All right, Miss Bella.
I was saying something similar to Mike about the way he looks. It's really sinister. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really. I mean, we haven't played them yet, but Wicket sounds real cool with this kind of attack if it happens at all. I mean, yeah.
So you're not going for the bad boy? You're not going for the bad boy? The prisoner with the dead bird? I thought you would totally be going for the bad boy here.
Yeah, the bad boy, Logray, I'm very tempted. I mean, he really doesn't look like a cuddly bear anymore. All of them, in fact.
I don't know. Paploo kind of looks... He's wearing a cap that basically makes him look bald, so he kind of looks like an overgrown baby. Kind of reminds me of Baby Ranger, so I'm kind of a fan of the Paploo artwork. But I think, my favorite character would be Wicket as well. I think his kit is just really good overall. So, but we have to get the finals on his.
Is Paploo's face because his tunic or whatever it is that he's wearing is slightly too short and he's pulling his arms up?
That's what it looks like.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's what I said. He looks like a baby that's like growing out of his clothes.
Yeah.
Like that. It's just funny.
Enough already. Buy me the next size up. Hell, make it 2 sizes. I'm hungry. Want me a stormtrooper?
All right. And so all of this information with Wicket was coming off of a podcast, like we had mentioned, and another thing they had mentioned on this podcast was kind of a potential rework for Grievous as well as the Night Sisters. So, Bella, how do you feel about them reworking Grievous and potentially the Night Sisters to make them useful to Grande Patron's happiness?
Oh, yes. It's just because of Grande, I think they do that. No, joke. I think it's been time. Actually, Grievous is the only character before the new Ewoks came out and were put into our game already that was missing. I never kind of started liking Grievous, but he was an important character in the Clone Wars, I think. And so it's great they will rework him. I think he's a little bit boring from reading his abilities. As are the Night Sisters. I mean, the Night Sisters, they have all this magic. Don't really see their magic. They are just not good enough to really use them. Actually, I was using Talia when I started. I think we talked about that one, Affinity. I don't know why, but she was an easy farm, and I got her and attacker and healing. I thought that was really great. But very soon you realize there's much better characters there for healing and attacking. And so I stopped using her at all. I sometimes still use old Darka in some events, or mostly in events, I think, when you have to, where you can use Night Sisters. But all the other ones, I don't use them. And when you look at their abilities, I think they need some more magic.
So you're I think this would be kind of like the first magic-oriented characters, right? Maybe Palpatine a little bit, but
yeah. If you read about the Night Sisters, they are dark side, and they kind of draw some strengths from their planet. I don't know, there's a mystery force hidden, I think. And so they could play a little bit more with this force thing, the dark force. But they don't get consumed by the force like Maul or Savage. They live in balance with this force. So they are quite interesting characters, actually.
Yeah, and I'm hoping they introduce like a Mother Talzin, because essentially the Night Sisters kind of empowered Savage Opress in the Clone Wars. He became kind of the awesomeness that he is. So I'm hoping there's a rework, there's Mother Talzin, and there's a synergy with Savage Opress.
That should be, yes, definitely. Night Brother.
What do you think about... I know Grievous rework is something that a lot of people that have farmed him already have wanted. So what do you think about them getting to a Grievous rework now, Loki?
I'm super excited for that. I mean, I just want to see what they can do, because, going back to the Ewoks, I mean, look at these kits they're doing now with these new characters, and look at how they even reworked the current Ewoks that we have. So I'm super excited to see what they can do with him. I hope he has like super anti-Jedi synergies, because that's what he's known for, right, in the series. I mean, he stole what, 4, 5, 6 lightsabers, so he's got more lightsabers than me right now, and he's pretty useless. He's been sitting in Shard Shop for forever, since the launch of the Shard Shop, and he's been useless the whole time. So I hope with his rework they do a Separatist pass, like they even just a minor rework to all the Separatist characters that they reclassified. I'd be good with that as well, but definitely a major rework I hope happens on Grievous, because his kit is just awful. I mean, it's just as bad as the Night Sisters, right?
Yeah.
So the Night Sister stuff, yeah, I'm super excited to see what they're going to do with it. I hope they get synergy with Savage and Maul, and I hope they make Asajj Ventress's Zetas useful. And, you know, if they do introduce additional Night Sisters, go for it. But I'm curious to see how they're going to rework the entire group. You know, just going off the top of my head, I just remember they're in the game right now currently. Like, a lot of them they heal themselves and they heal, and there's not much they can do. You know, I want to see them be arena viable. So going back to Bella's comments, I want to see more of the quote unquote magic. I want to see them do, you know, shocks and days and staggers and whatever. You know, I want to see them do all these different types of debuffs, like to kind of manipulate the other team. And then if they want to do the healing, like, you know, imagine if you had all 5 of them and then they had like a True and Baze kind of heal over time that's just super annoying. They would just keep healing themselves, and that's how I kind of envision it. And they just wear down the team with all the debuffs, and I'm pretty excited. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. So if you guys have questions, make sure to put them in the chat. I've been collecting them, and we'll start going through them in a second. We'll end with one final question to kind of go around the horn here, and we'll start with Mike. So if you've noticed recently with a lot of their faction passes and these reworks that they're doing, they're introducing a lot of different uniques that almost work like leader abilities. They're actually creating like a synergy between characters of the same faction. So if you look at Phoenix, who may not have panned out exactly the way they had wanted, but then there's also the Imperial Troopers that came out and they kind of give each other buffs. Looks like they're doing the same thing with Ewoks. They may possibly do the same thing with Night Sisters, and then maybe even Separatists if they do that with the Grievous pass. So what do you think about them actually kind of doing something like that, where they're actually increasing faction bonuses if you have more characters of the same faction, which I know people were asking for almost from the beginning of the game?
It just adds to the viability, doesn't it? You know, you have to collect them. You have to use, you know, you have to collect them for certain content that, you know, that's decided by the devs. So yeah, adding viability so that, you know, you go through it all and then you're looking at them thinking, well, okay, but I've unlocked this character who's great, but I've had to work on or develop 6 of these, which I'm kind of now wondering what I'm going to do other than store mods on them. Yeah, it does definitely, you know, adds to their viability by doing all those sharing. I also wanted to come back to the previous question, because I actually, 2 months ago, if that, I was running Asajj with my Siths. It was a Nihilus lead Sith squad with Asajj Ventress as the 5th member. And I was so underwhelmed by Asajj's Endless Wrath. As far as I could work out, the reason it's called Endless Wrath is because there is no end, as in it doesn't do anything. Her basic hits harder than her Endless Wrath. So I'm just, so it would be nice. I mean, I'm the Pillock that actually omegaed that ability, and yeah, that made me even happier, I must admit, when I realised that it's just awful.
Right.
So that would be my request to the devs. Maybe she can actually hit with that ability rather than, you know, yeah.
All right.
But sharing all those buffs and yeah, everyone boosting each other in some way, shape, or form, just adds to the synergy and makes them more viable.
And how do you feel about them, Bella? These uniques that are almost like leadership abilities that they're introducing now. Do you like it? Do you think it's a good direction that they're going in? You need to put down GW and unmute your mic again.
I was totally fascinating reading the chat. I I swear I was on Jedi Academy, but I didn't really pay attention. But I read the chat. Oh my god, I'm so bad today. Infinity, how did you know I wasn't paying attention?
It's only like 2 o'clock over there, right? I mean, it's not 2 in the morning, is it?
But it feels like it. Please repeat your question.
Yes.
I'm very sorry, Infinity.
How do you feel about kind of the direction that they're going with more of these unique abilities that almost mimic leader abilities, where they give something while they're still alive, but after they die, it kind of goes away? Do you like the direction that they're going in with those?
Yeah, I think I prefer actually strong, unique abilities to leader abilities often, especially if you Zeta them, because Zeta, yeah, well, if you Zeta a leader ability, it's you have to use this character as leader, obviously, and uniques are much more, yeah, they can be used in more ways, so to say. So if they are stronger, I think it's good for the character. He's more viable in more places.
Right. And how about you, Loki?
I like what they're doing with the uniques. I like that they went back several months ago and they you know, everybody's saying they nerfed Barris, right? But I think as they started coming out with these more viable uniques and more useful uniques like that, then they had to put a limit on it, right? So the character, you know, when the character gets defeated, then the uniques go away, right? I'm totally for that, as you know, because they are making these uniques very leader-like now. So yeah, I'm all for it. I'm excited to see. You know, again, we still have about 60, 70 characters in a roster that are pretty much useless. So if all these characters eventually get a pass of some kind of useful unique, then yeah, I'm all for that. I mean, I already got invested in a bunch of these, and if this is their way of doing reworks, then I'm good with it.
All right. So we have some questions lined up. For those of you guys that still have questions, go ahead and post them in the chat. We're still collecting them. So let's start off with, actually this one goes to everyone. So we'll kind of go around the horn here. The question is from Felipe Minasucci. So his question is, what are your guild's AAT attack structures? So let's start with Loki. How does your guild do heroic AAT?
So what we're doing right now is, I think we have a hard pause after phase 3. So we kind of, I'm sorry for jumping ahead, but I think the only rule we really have is it's a hard pause after phase 3 during certain hours. So it's like, once we hit phase 3, then we got to sit there for 12 hours or something like that, and it allows people that haven't got in yet to either register 0 or, if they got to register like 100 or 1,000 damage, then that's fine. But it's to make sure that we get all 50 in, because obviously we're all in different time zones. But going back to like phase 1, if you want to talk about like what we allow to attack, so it's phase 1, we still let everybody do the Xylo or the Kenobi sync, or it's kind of like free for all, right? But you got to use certain squads. So it's the same squad designation structure that we're all accustomed to. So phase 1, it's like Xylo, and then Finn put out a cool video on Savage, on Zeta Savage. So some of our guys are using that, and then Kenobi sync if you want to try it out. But then like phase 2 is going to be like the droid teams, resistance. If you got lower end rebels that can't do phase 4, then we throw you in phase 2. Clone squads if you want to try them out, but we tell everybody to save the clone squads for phase 4. And then phase 3, there's the Grand Imperial Maneuver, Admiral Maneuver, whatever it's called. And then if you want to try to solo it, go for it. And then Chirpatine's good, but long story short, it's free for all the way up to that hard stop for like 12 hours, and then phase 4 send in everything else you got. So it's the rebel teams, the clone teams, and stuff like that. That's how we kind of run it.
All right, Mike.
Yeah, well, we once we cracked it, we really brought the timing down. So what we ended up doing was imposing. We launched the raid. There's a 24-hour zeros opportunity for anyone that may not be able to raid when it goes live. So that, you know, again, it's there so all 50 can participate in the raids and get the rewards. And then what we placed the restriction phases 1 to 3. So phases 1 to 3 are a single squad attack, i.e. you're allowed whatever squad you want to run, but each phase you're allowed one squad. I've recently developed POW. I wanted to try POW in phase 1 in my GK sync, and the last 2 tank raids I haven't been able to get in to do a run, because by the time I get in and put the days down on the 3 ads, we're in phase 2. So we're even with these restrictions, we're doing a tank raid in 40 minutes maybe. Phase 4, if you're wondering, is free for all. Once we've got through phase 3, it's a case of, right, have at it, run whatever you want, do whatever you want. Yeah, and it's gone in minutes. But the restrictions we put on there was just to give everybody the opportunity of actually having a go on each phase, trying your squads out.
All right, and Bella.
It's me, right?
Yes.
Good.
I don't see any other Bella.
No, because my connection is not very good today. So I just got half of Bella, and I was like, did he mean me? Okay, you meant me. Okay, we do it similar to what Mike just said. We have time for 0. I don't think it's 24 hours, but it's quite some time where you can post a 0. And then once we started, it goes full all in, and just the Kenobi things have to wait for 5 minutes, and then 30 minutes, 40 minutes, it's done. So I never have really time to send in more teams than just one, because it goes so down so quickly.
All right, and then our guild, we recently changed our structure a little bit. So we kind of adapted with how much damage and everything we were doing. Initially, we were kind of close on damage, so we had all the phases split out. So we would open the raid for phase 1 at 5 p.m. Whenever, and we would allow 1 attack unless you're running Xylo, and then you were just kind of able to just keep on going. As soon as that was done, we would roll into phase 2. Phase 1 normally took about half an hour. So then phase 2, we would all do 1 attack. Phase 3 was set at 10 o'clock the next day, and then we had a phase 4 Zerg at 3:30. As we got better, each phase only took about 10 minutes to clear, even with everyone just doing 1 attack. And so we changed to a 24-hour 0 damage, and now we're just free-for-all on the entire raid. But people do want to try different squads and whatnot, so what we're getting ready to switch over to is 1 or 2 raids every couple weeks where we actually split out the phases like we previously did, but all the other ones would be free-for-all after 24 hours just to kind of get them done. So that's what our raid structures are. So thank you for asking that, Felipe. The next question is, we'll put it towards Loki here, since you were talking about phase 1. So the question is from Bob. The first Bob is with an H, and his question is, what is the best I'm a Gundy lead for phase 1 of Heroic AAT?
The best I'm a Gundy lead. So, you know, we were talking about Kenobi sync, so I mean, you can try the I'm a Gun D lead with the General Kenobi and Maul, Jawa Scavenger, and then Mike actually has a lot of cool videos on the Who's the Fifth. So you know, you could put, if you got Gar Saxon, I think he works good. You can try Powell. I think you got one of Sabine, right, Mike? but yeah, I think any, if you're gonna do I'm a Gun D lead, then you can't go wrong with the General Kenobi and do the Kenobi sync on it. It's proven already. You'll get a million damage with it, and it works. Takes you like 3 minutes.
All right. And what about for non-Kenobi?
Non-Kenobi, then just a traditional Jedi team. Just go all Jedi. So it's maybe I'm a Gun D lead with maybe Ayla, and then Kit Fisto, Jedi Knight Anakin, maybe like a Barriss, like a Zeta Barriss or something like that. Or you could try Ahsoka, Jedi Ahsoka. You can try her, but any combination of that, you'll probably be pushing about, I don't know, 200K or something like that, which is fine. That was the old school 2%, I think, rule that we were all going by back in the day. You're saying something, Mike? Sorry.
I was just going to say that's where you want to put a few tenacity crosses onto your Jedis just to get them to go a bit longer.
Yes.
If you're running the Jedi one, you want to go offensive on your GK sync. You need to include a bit of kind of defense, tenacity, whatever for the non-GK.
All right. So the next question is for all of us. It is from Turbs, and his question is: what do you guys currently run in Arena? How far do you drop? And do you think the ultimate defense is a myth? So let's start with Miss Bella.
Yes, what do I run at the moment? I'm very old-fashioned. I have a wedge lead. And of course, I've got Biggs there. I've got Chase and R2D2. Double-setted R2D2, of course. And yeah, that's what I run. And I love this combination, but I might change it in the future because yeah, I want to try out something new. How much do I drop? Yeah, I drop to the 20s. I don't know why, but I think I get targeted a lot. So I drop to the top 20s or even a little bit further. So each day I got to climb, right? Mm-hmm. And usually more than 5 fights.
All right.
I don't think actually that it's a matter of defense.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some teams are better on defense, yes, but I think that I was at the point I could beat any team in the top 20s. For some team, I now have some difficulties. They have really great speeds on them. But otherwise, I can beat any team. And any team can beat my team, I think. So it depends a bit, yeah, on your mods, as usual.
Mm-hmm. And Mike, how about you?
Yeah, the first question is yes, the ultimate defense team is a myth. With all the changes that have come into the game, every team has an Achilles heel. Yeah, so pretty much anyone can beat anyone, and that even includes, you know, those that you go against with God mods, because if you've got the right synergy in your squad, you're negating that as well. In regards to what I run, I run various squads. I'm quite fortunate that I've got, although it's predominantly Rex leads on my shard, I do have you know, different squads that I can go against as well. So I run a Nihilus lead with Savage, Sith Assassin, and Sith Trooper, and my fifth on that is Thrawn. And the idea behind that is that I've got non-critting Siths and a Thrawn who does crit, but spends half the battle fracturing someone. And so therefore, the only time he's critting is when he's countering. And that's maxed as well. So, speed up followed by stun, which works really well on offense. And that'll drop to mid to late teens. Occasionally I'll fall into the top 20. But otherwise, so it's about 20, 18 spots I kind of drop. Following on from that, with my arena, I go up to pay out, and then I'm normally leaving it 22 hours. So I'm giving a lot of people, the opportunity of attacking me, and so for me to drop. I'm not, constantly checking it and keeping my holding position. I also run a Tarkin with Thrawn, Nihilus, First Order Stormtrooper. No, not First Order Stormtrooper. Death Trooper, GK. That's a fun squad. That I do enjoy using that one. And I've got a Rex, Nihilus, Thrawn, First Order Stormtrooper, General Kenobi. I'm trying to mix it up a bit. So I don't think I actually have like an arena squad. I have a selection, and then it's more bespoke now. It's what am I facing? What's the best squad to use against that one?
Gotcha.
And also I'm on a complete Chase embargo, if you're wondering where they are. I'm so annoyed with the fact that they're still dominant, whatever. I mean, I get everyone, you've got a lot of players that haven't got a 7-star base yet. And you know what's coming. Once that happens, they're going to get nerfed. I'm sorry if I'm spoiling your cornflakes by saying that, but yeah, I'm on a complete Chase embargo in arena.
Right, and then Loki.
So my current squad right now. So I'm also like Mike. I move around my arena squad like weekly, sometimes daily. So I'm currently running the Rex lead with Grand Admiral Thrawn, General Kenobi, Darth Nihilus, and the First Order Stormtrooper. That's my current squad right now. So I play with Zader a lot. I play with Zeta Darth Maul still, Nihilus lead, and so far this core team of like Grand Admiral Thrawn, General Kenobi, Darth Nihilus, and First Order Stormtrooper, with either Rex, or you can put Boba Fett as the leader, or you can play around with the leads. You can put Zader in there. You can do what you need to do, but that core 4 seems to hold well on my shard. And for the week, I haven't dropped out of the top 10, which is actually really good. I got a really good old competitive arena shard. So, and then as I mentioned during the RSG stream on Wednesday, it's actually quite funny, but my top 15 actually doesn't have Chase anymore either. So not sure if there's an embargo as well, like what Mike mentioned, but Chase on my arena just is not viable anymore. There's a lot of counters to it. I mean, we're all November 2015 players. So a lot of Thrawn leads now, because the Thrawn lead, demolishes the Zader lead. Still a lot of Rex leads, but just without Chase. It's interesting to see. Going to the ultimate defense, I do think it's a myth. I think every team now can beat anybody, and everybody's in search of the elusive speed secondary mods, and yeah, I mean, it makes the team that much better. But keep in mind too that even if you get your Rex to like 270 speed, he's not any better than a Rex with like 200 speed, right? I mean, there is like a plateau once you get to, if you have the God mods with the God speed secondaries, there is a plateau, and you can still beat those teams. It's just, it's I don't know. It's just, nobody should think that, my my tunes are faster than his, so therefore I'm gonna win, right? The AI is really bad. I mean, it's really bad. I think it's worse than putting your team on full auto with random targeting on the offense. That's how bad I think the defensive AI is. So, just make sure you can get first every day, and then if your arena shard just keeps changing, then put in a team that's a good counter to whatever. I mean, everything's got a counter already. So, I wouldn't chase the ultimate defense squad. You're going to end up killing yourself and getting frustrated. So just put in something where you don't want to drop, and make an annoying, make your team annoying enough so nobody attacks you. That's the best defense, I think.
And I am running the standard triple cleanse, but I'm one of only a few now that's running Chase in my arena. And it's a January 2016 shard, so it's pretty old too. But my team is the standard triple cleanse, so Rex lead with Kenobi, Nihilus, and Chase. In terms of the drops, so after the power change, my power dropped dramatically because that team doesn't have a lot of Zeta. So all the power of that team went down quite a bit compared to the rest of my shard. And so I don't know if it necessarily makes me a target or not. What I've noticed is that on the days where I finish 4 or 5, since my arena has a Discord chat and we figure out who's going to go where for the day. So if I finish 4 or 5, I usually don't drop as much. I drop a lot, especially if I'm in 1. And then 2 and 3, I drop depends on the day, but I can drop a good bit. So some days I'll only drop maybe to like 10 or 9. But other days I will, like today, I ended up dropping into the high 30s. So it varies. My average is usually around mid-20s in terms of how far I drop. So that's kind of my team. And I agree the ultimate defense is kind of a myth. Even though Chase is kind of played out, and I understand that. I'm kind of working on my full collection a little bit here, so I'm just leaving them in because they're getting the job done. But it seems at least like everything can beat everything at this point. I'm curious, since we gave those answers to Mike and Loki, since you guys are doing this, how do you guys deal with the mods if you're changing your squads kind of daily? I'll start with Mike here. So if you're changing your squads kind of based on who you're facing, how do you deal or adapt with the mods?
I farmed mods. I really, really, really farmed mods. And I had to make one adjustment. He's actually a guild mate as well, but we're on the same shard, and the bugger keeps going one faster than me. So he's always he does set his squads up with defense in mind, and he's put his god mods onto his arena squad. So I had to make a slight adjustment on one tune. I just needed Thrawn slightly quicker, but that's the only adaptation I've done, to be honest. The rest of them, they're set, and it also means I know what they do. Yeah, so if the battle doesn't go to plan, I'll then review and see what's changed. But otherwise, I've tried to get to a position where I've tuned each character mod wise to a point where I'm happy with them. My mod changes now only really apply for the tank raid, where what I do is I have a Cody with no mods, and he only gets them for the tank raid. And what I do is I throw my super speed one on there and get him up to 230.
Got it.
Yeah, but yeah.
So all of your characters are modded that you're subbing in and out, so you don't really have to switch your mods around.
Yeah, I've tuned my arena squads to a point where I'm happy with it. Yeah, if I get a mod drop, it might replace an existing one. I am aware that I do need to move stuff around they're not modded as great. I mean, for example, at the moment, my Nihilus has got 4 crit chance mods on him, and I normally run Nihilus as a lead, which is it's a complete waste of mods there. I know, but it's more the speed on that. But I've tuned my arena squad. I mean, I'm guessing, I would assume that that's what we all do. Is your arena squad or squads are tuned and ready to go.
All right. And then how about you, Loki?
So the way I have it set up is my arena squads are always first to get the preferred mods, and then I just mod down from there. But going back to what I had mentioned in my arena squad is, I'm just finding out that you don't need to put a whole bunch of speed secondaries on all your characters, right? Like, you start fine-tuning each one for their role. The arena team I'm running right now has so much turn meter gain that I'm finding that like with the arrows, I'm finding that certain, health primaries or like protection primaries are more suitable on certain characters. So my Rex, I got him right now. He's like 241 without a speed arrow, right? And so I have a protection arrow. I'm making him more tanky. And then if I do put a speed arrow on him, then obviously, his speed can go, he can get like 20 or whatever more, but he gets more squishy. So General Kenobi, I like to put protection arrows on him as well. First Order Stormtrooper, I put protection arrow on him as well. So I make those 3 as tanky as I can, just so they get more added survivability. But that's what I'm finding out now, especially with now Thrawn. Thrawn came out. I think Thrawn basically made Chase a little more less viable in arena. When you can get that fracture off first turn, you fracture bays, it really slows down the triple cleanse or whatever for a few turns, right? As long as your Thrawn stays below the turn meter gain. But that's what I'm just finding out. I mean, I think we can all agree Sith Assassin's got to be fast, right? So let's put all the good secondaries on her, speed secondaries. But then everybody else, you just got to kind of figure it out. And some characters like protection secondaries or health secondaries. Going back to what Mike said, some characters like a bunch of offense primaries, right? So I'm finding, I'm not gonna say it works, but if you're running Xylo in arena, I'm finding if you don't put any protection primaries on Xylo, right? So you put all offense and like a health circle, he seems to do his the outrage on the defense. I'm noticing he does it a little more. I'm being told by my shard mates, because I also communicate with them in a shard chat. So it's something to think about, is if you limit Xylo's protection and just give him a bunch of offense or crit chance or something like that, he does tend to do his outrage more than his AoE, right? So, playing around with that, Thrawn as well. I like Thrawn fast, so he gets my speed secondaries as well. And then, for anybody that plays Thrawn, he always gives his turn meter swap to the squishiest character, is what I noticed, even on defense. So again, something to keep in mind, something you can manipulate with mods, and that pretty much dictates where my best mods go in terms of speed, and then where my best mods go in terms of offense, and then where my best mods go in terms of protection and stuff like that. So if you want to talk about it more, we can take it offline, but there's just a lot of these little things I'm starting to notice when you start tweaking the mods.
All right. So next question we'll throw to Miss Bella, since she's running kind of an old school wedge team. So Doubles89 is asking, running wedge lead with Biggs, Chase, and Rex in arena, should I drop Rex for General Kenobi? Or should I switch to Rex lead, drop Wiggs? The 5th would probably be Xylo. So what do you think about the replacements for his current Wiggs, Chase, Rex squad?
Okay, the original was running
Wedge lead,
Biggs, Chase, Rex, right?
Correct. And now he has Kenobi, so he's trying to figure out essentially how to put Kenobi into that spot. So does he
Yeah.
just replace Rex, or does he make Rex lead, get rid of Wigs, put in Kenobi and Xylo? What do you think is the best way?
Actually, I think he should go for General Kenobi, but also I wonder a bit. This okay? That's a light side, fully light side. I don't know if the one who is asking the question is a light side person, but I would go for Darth Nihilus, and you could add Silo as well. So I would mix the teams a bit, and yeah, Chase is still viable, but you have to let go of some of the characters. So Rex lead. I'm just thinking, actually, the Rex lead. I've seen that more in mixed combinations. I like the Rex lead and General Kenobi and Chase, but then I wouldn't keep either Wedge or Biggs, but put Nihilus in.
Okay.
Good combination.
And what do you think about Xylo potentially in that spot? Do you think Xylo would work too? Zeta Kylo Ren?
Yeah, he would work too.
Okay. All right. So the next question, I guess, will go to me here, and the question is from Warpain, and he asks, what's a good free-to-play team versus Rebels with Chase? So it's kind of a similar question to what you were just asked. So it's kind of interesting. I know Loki had mentioned this, and I can't remember when, but it was in one of the previous streams that we did. Pretty much everything right now is free-to-play since you get the characters unlocked at 3-star anyways. And one of the irritations people had was Chase is viable even at like 4 stars. So at this point, almost everything is free-to-play viable. So it's not like it used to be where there's characters that are Chromium exclusive and you couldn't play them at like 3-star because they would be too squishy. They really changed that with mods a lot. So 3-star, 4-star characters are definitely viable. Rebels with Chase, you could use kind of that standard triple cleanse. I'm able to beat those teams on mine. Mods are going to play an important part in this. You want to make sure you have good speed secondaries on particular characters in order to make sure your team kind of works properly in terms of their order. Another squad that has been showing up is kind of like what Loki had mentioned, which is a squad that revolves around Thrawn, not necessarily even in the lead position, but the fracture against a base can really slow down a team. It doesn't necessarily work on AI, depending on the speed, because sometimes Thrawn will put a fracture on a random character if the taunt drops or whatever. So on defense, it may not work, but on offense, a Thrawn that you can put onto a base is really useful. So Thrawn is also a really good counter. And kind of the standard counter is going to be Nihilus, since Nihilus can basically annihilate either Chirrut or Baze whenever you need. Wigs, if they're the other rebels in your team, are still relatively squishy. And so you can pretty much take out Wedge at the beginning, and then Biggs doesn't become nearly as useful without Wedge there. And I'm trying to think what other characters are on kind of these standard Rebels teams with Chase. The other two that I can think of are R2-D2 and Fulcrum Ahsoka Tano that I have seen. Fulcrum Ahsoka Tano is pretty easy to deal with. Usually she's kind of like the main damage dealer anyways. If you can basically just remove the taunt from Baze, Fulcrum Ahsoka Tano kind of folds. And R2-D2, if you have a Baze or like a B2 in order to remove the stealth that R2 applies, then you're basically set on that as well. So there's a lot of different options right now for a free-to-play player to counter a Rebels team with Chase, with all the different compositions, whether it's Wigs, Fulcrum Ahsoka Tano, R2-D2. There's a Rex lead that I've seen that I haven't. That's not as good as some of the other Rebel squads, but there's a lot of different squads you can use, and so it just depends on what characters you have. So there is a lot of viability, and so hopefully you have good mods in order to counter that. Next question will go to Mike. So, Mike, this question is from Harry Tasker. And the question is, if you had the original 4 Ewoks mainly maxed out, and just want to level up one of the new ones to make a squad of 5, just in case of future content, which one would be the best one? So the original 4, just in case you guys aren't aware, the original 4 are Ewok Scout, Teebo, Chirpa, and Ewok Elder.
I'm just getting my my photographic memory back into running. Hang on. It's coming to me. I'm flicking through Paploo. If it's just one, it's got to be the tank. Yeah, Paploo. Yeah, especially with that dispel as well. If I was only doing one, unfortunately, that means that they're not really going to hit very hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've already covered that they don't hit hard; they just hit a lot, and you hope that the lot is enough. But with that dispel, at least you stand a chance to removing some of the heal over times, because invariably you're going to be facing some sort of heal over time squad.
All right, so let's go around quickly here to everyone. So we have now 7 potential Ewoks. So just list off the 5 that you would make as your top 5 in a Ewok full squad. So whichever 5 that you would put into one squad. So let's start with you, Mike, since the original question came from you. So which 5 would you put together?
Chirpa, Paploo, Logray, Elder. Oh, who am I going to go for? It would probably be Wicket taking the 5th.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Loki, your 5 Ewoks.
So I'm torn between the 2 leaders. If I'm gonna run, I'm thinking if I'm gonna run Chirpa lead, then it would be I'd go Chirpa, Teebo, and then the 3 new ones. So Wicket, Logray, and Paploo would be like the first 5. And then if I'm gonna go Teebo lead, then it would then be Elder, and then the new 3, the Paploo, Logray, and Wicket.
Okay, Miss Bella.
Yeah, I'm not an expert in Ewoks, but I definitely would want to run this 3 new ones. Of the old ones, what I put in there, I'm actually not quite sure if they need a healer. If yes, it would be Ewok Elder, and then one of either Teebo or Chirpa. Not sure about them. Maybe Chirpa.
So Chirpa, Ewok Elder, and then the 3 new ones?
Yeah, I would try this one.
Okay. And I think I would go Teebo lead with Logray, Paploo, Wicket, and then Chirpa also. So I would leave out Ewok Elder and Scout. All right. So the next question, we'll kind of go around here. It's a new concept, so the question, and I'll start with Loki here. So the question is from Box and the Fuzz. The question is, would you like to see a secondary arena that's exclusive to people that have spent X amount on the game and have it restricted only to 7-star Gear 11 characters? Sort of an elite arena against other top players.
Yeah, I'm all for that. It's kind of like a heroic arena, right? I don't know about the spending. If you just got 7-star Gear 11 characters, I'm all for that. And yeah, it should be fun. And I think it, I know we're not going to get live PvP. So if it, along with the 7-star Gear 11 characters, I would like to see like a defense AI buff, so it's really hard. That would be really fun. And then the rewards would be just really good rewards. So yeah, that's a really good idea. I've thought about the same thing too, and I really I was leaning toward calling it like Heroic Arena or something like that. That would be pretty fun.
All right, Bella, how do you feel about that idea?
Did you say Bella?
Yes, I said Bella.
So sorry.
Anything that says "la," like if you just hear that, it's you. So
I don't know why, but the connection today is not very good. Yeah, I've seen the question, and I wouldn't just like Sir Loki said, I wouldn't link it to spending on the game, rather to, because I think spending is one thing, but also we've discussed that on RSG, that people want to have try out their teams against other to know in the game. So just this a new approach, and the shards, you know, you've been playing, some of you have been playing 1.5 years or longer even, so you know your shard mates quite well, and it would be fun to have new opponents, new allies in this new kind of arena. I would like that, actually. I would like to have some of my to fight against some of my friends which are not in my arena teams. I would even love to fight against Box and the Fuzz.
The special shout out there to Box and the Fuzz. All right.
Yeah.
And what about
to him?
Especially him?
Especially Knights Templar, actually. We want to do ship fights for long, but we can't. He's in a much older shard, and I have no chance to fight against him.
Right. All right, and Mike, what do you think of the idea?
I like it. We got a chance to kind of experience that when we had tournaments, and you know, unfortunately, tournament. I know it's the elephant in the room subject, but unfortunately, tournaments exposed just how many cheats were in the game, and they couldn't. Unfortunately, you know, they couldn't continue them because it just highlighted the cheats too much. But what it did do is allow us to fight other squads, other people. I know that, you know, whenever I saw a familiar name that I'd never fought before, because, you know, we're restricted to our shards, and you know, we get a taster, I suppose, in Galactic War, but in an active competition, tournaments being that, and of course arena, you know, we've already covered that, you know, that you can run more than one squad. Being able to you know, shard hop or whatever, well, yeah, would be brilliant. It's still restrictive because you're still probably just going to be fighting like one squad, and you're going to bounce around a lot, so you're not even going to have the opportunity to, you know, develop a squad for a shard before you're onto another shard. I'm assuming, I don't know anything. But yeah, anything that just allows us to utilize our, what was it? When these two come out, it'll be 121, and then we've got like 90 others coming out throughout the month. So yeah, so we'll be on like 3,500 characters come Christmas. Wales embargo.
That's a little bit of an underestimation there, but that's
doing great business. Yeah, so any content that allows us to use this, you know, 14 million characters that we now have would be welcome.
And I'm in agreement with you guys. I'm not a fan of that spending limit. I think I do understand the purpose of that is to give pay-to-play players a little bit of an advantage, which makes sense. Usually these games, you want to reward two things, either those that have spent on the game or those that have played the game for a while. So I think the 7-star Gear 11 tunes is a good way of getting to it. Maybe as a way to kind of make this a little bit more beneficial to pay-to-play players, it could be that there are themed like weeks or days where one day you can only use Sith and Empire, and another day you can only use Jedis, and another day you can only use Rebels, or something like that, where it'll make it so you do have to use your collection each day. You might have to move your mods around or whatever it is, but it will reward you for having more 7-star Gear 11 tunes, which definitely gives an advantage to like whales and people that have put money into the game. So that may be another way to maybe get that accomplished if that's your goal, to make it a little bit more exclusive and difficult, just for kind of a casual player. All right. Next question we have is for Mike. So this question is from Bad Rongo. And his question is, he is working on a Zader Rancor team. He currently has Zader, so a Zated Vader, TIE Fighter Pilot, Magma Trooper, Tarkin, and Jin. 4 of the 5 are almost done. What tune is a decent substitute for Jin, because she is going to take much longer than the others? Is Qui-Gon Jinn an option?
Yes, Qui-Gon is an option. I haven't run him in months in Rancor, but he was part of. I've almost had a Rancor solo before the level cap changed last year. The one thing that I always highlighted in regards to Qui-Gon's a great character. He's an attacker, he's got an assist, and he's also a healer. Once you you max out the ability, he'll heal whoever assists. The downside for Qui-Gon is the fact that he doesn't heal himself. He's got no health steal whatsoever. So he is a bit fragile. So you're really gonna need the RNG to get Zader's TM reduction to stick, to not get him hit. Rex would be another one I would have thought. Because Rex has got what? He's got 25% TM reduction on his basic, I believe. So, but yeah, I would say as a stand-in, because the Jin or the Jin Jin is obviously his ultimate goal for that squad, and yeah, I mean that's going to get you a Rancor solo for sure. As a stand-in, yeah, you get an added attack with it as well. So yeah, I mean.
Let me ask you a follow-up question here, Mike. Did you ever think that there would be a day where you would call a character played by Liam Neeson fragile?
I will find you.
All right. So, next question here. So, I'm going to give you back-to-back questions, Bella. Are you ready?
Me?
Yes. There's a lot. That means you. Alright, so the first question is from Chrome Cobra, who is asking, what is Bella's accent?
Oh my god. I do have an accent. I'm German.
There you go. Bella is German. And now the second question. So there were a lot of things that were put into the shard shop. So Loki, I'll ask you about the characters here in a second, but let's start off with the ships. So what do you feel about the ships that were put into the shard shop? So that's the Gauntlet Starfighter.
You mean like if it's worth farming them from
Is
there?
it worth farming? Is it a good?
Yeah.
What kind of squads it might be useful for? What are your thoughts on that ship?
Well, I always say yes to farming ships, of course, from all possible locations. But the thing is, you have to prioritize. it's not good to spread your resources too much. You have to kind of focus on what you're doing. So it's very difficult for me to advise if you should go for a certain ship in charge shop. If you've got like just 1 or 2 left, so then why not? If all your other ships are maxed already, then go for it. But if you collect, like, especially some of the very useful dark side ships, like the TIE Advanced, Scimitar and Boba and so on, if you collect them, then I wouldn't right away start a new ship, but concentrate to finish those first, because it's really much better to have them maxed and use them 7-star than kind of collect a bit here and collect a bit there. The exchange rate in Shard Shop is another thing. It's not so good, but of course the new ship is it's not very often in the fleet shipment right now. I have seen it 2 or 3 times until now. I don't know about you guys, but it's not there very often, the Gauntlet Starfighter. So if you feel you need this ship, then go for it. But the exchange rate is not very good.
I was just going to add that I have an alt account which is free to play, and the introduction of Gauntlet into the fleet shop now has opened up the 4th star ship, dark side ship, for me. For I can't remember which challenge it is, but at the moment I don't have enough. I don't have either the pilots or the ships, or enough pilots or ships on dark side to do the next challenge. I believe it's the Tarkin upgrade. I know whatever the challenge is, I need 4-star dark side ships.
Yeah, and that's a good point, actually. You need 2 pilots. Again, when you're not end game player and you still upgrade your pilots, I wouldn't go for a ship where you need 2 pilots. And the pilots are new to the shipments as well. So, yeah. Mike, I was.
Yeah. I mean, my alt's got both Gar and Super Pooper. So I'm good to go on that. I mean, as I say, for me, it adds another option, which previously wasn't there. So I would say it really would depend for them on where they are on their ships. It is, if they're like me and looking for that 5th 4-star dark side ship to even stand a chance of doing the challenge, then it's a realistic option.
All right. And then, so the question was coming from Carl Coppage. And so Loki, we also have Gar Saxon, an Imperial Super Commando that's now farmable and in the Shard Shop. So are these tunes any good, and would they work with the Thrawn squad?
So I've been playing around with just in Galactic War. So I got him at my Gar Saxon is still like 4-star, but I got him like gear 9 or something. And then my Commando, I haven't leveled him up yet, but they seem to be pretty fun. I mean, if you're just going for the fun factor of it, you can definitely move on offense. I think in arena, and the synergy's pretty. I think it's pretty useful. If you run like a Gar lead with Thrawn, and as I mentioned, you can kind of manipulate Thrawn's turn meter swap. So it seems if I run like a Gar lead with Thrawn, and then I have the tanks around him, so I have Shore Trooper or like General Kenobi or something like around them, Gar Saxon would be the squishiest out of all of them. So Thrawn tends to give his turn meter swap to Gar Saxon a lot, and if you keep doing that, then you can you can do a lot of Gar Saxon's AoE, which removes turn meter, and and stuff like that. And then your Empire characters all get a chance to do counterattack, which is really good. So I don't think they're hack meta team yet that's been defined, but I think with the addition of Thrawn, it makes those other Empire characters that really weren't viable when they were introduced, I think it makes them more viable. So if you got nobody else to farm, I say go for it. You know, when they keep coming out with these new tunes, I mean, they're coming out with the 3 new Ewoks, right? So the 3 Ewoks are eventually going to make it into the shard shop, right? And then probably next on deck is Ahsoka Tano Fulcrum. So she's going to be in the shard shop next, right? After Gar Saxon gets rotated out, right? So just keep that in mind. If you don't want to go for the Ewoks or Fulcrum Ahsoka, then yeah, I mean, go for Gar Saxon, go for the Trooper. I'm sorry, the Commando, and go for the ship, especially if you got Empire built up already. So,
all right. Next question is from SWGOH. So I'll kind of just ask in general, so you guys can just say if you know anything new. So his question is, do you guys have news as far as the new game mode? I can say that in the latest update at the end, there's basically, I'm getting the quote up now, but essentially Cozy put in a message that essentially hinted at the fact that there's going to be an ATST. Her exact wording here is, there's no rest for our warriors while larger threats roam the forest. And this was in a post about the Ewok, so it makes it seem like there's going to be an ATST, at least in part of this, and maybe it will be Ewok specific that you need to fight it. That's like the only speculation. With the statement before where it says Wicket rounds out this Ewok invasion as he makes his way into the terrain of battle. So the only thing I know of is a little bit of speculation based on the game update that makes it seem like Ewoks will be needed potentially for an ATST battle. But have you guys heard anything more about the new game mode, the territory battles? All right, so the silence means no.
I was gonna say I haven't heard anything yet.
No. All right. So we will jump on to the next question then. So the next question, also from SWGOH, we'll give this one to Loki here. So, are there any other kind of Kenobi sync lineups? I don't have my FOTP geared and 7-starred. Any changes I can do, or is that just the only Kenobi sync lineup?
No, I'd actually like to defer to Mike because he's got, on his channel, he's got several Kenobi sync squad videos that you can refer to. So the you know, my understanding with First Order TIE Pilot is he's there for his DPS, so he deals a lot of damage, and then he throws that second attack, right? So you want to, the concept behind it is you want to get 7 or 8 hits on Grievous so he can keep proccing his AoE attack, and then it'll reset the retribution, right? So I would think any character that has that ability where they have multiple attacks on their basic, I think that's what you want to go for. So I mean, there's people putting other Jawas in there. There's I don't know, Mike, you did Sabine, right, with instead of First Order TIE Pilot?
Yeah.
Is that what it was? And
well, what it was that I zeted my First Order, and then the GK sync came round, and of course, a First Order TIE Pilot with foresight doesn't actually hit. He just stands there, and everyone else does. So that's why Who's on Fifth was born. Was the fact that I negated my First Order TIE Pilot before ever really getting an opportunity of using him. Yay! I've switched it around. Yeah, I have switched it around. Obviously, it depends on who he's got to use. I've played around. I really want to capture. I've tried twice since I geared POW up to 10, and I ran a flight mode, but unfortunately I can't record my flight modes. I ran a flight mode with I don't use Jawa Scavenger in my GK sync. I use Jawa because I use Scavenger with the clones. And I ran POW with Scavenger, Maul, GK, and Ima, and that gave me 20%, which I thought, oh, you know what, that's quite interesting. And then I switched Jawa for Sabine, and that gave me 25%. And I've been trying to record it to show people ever since. But my guild are doing phase 1 so fast that whenever I actually get into it, I'm already in phase 2 at the moment. So, but I've played around. JKA's you can switch Ima for JKA. You can also switch to Boba. You've got and the other real important thing is that you need Maul fast. You want Maul to put the days down before any of the Grievous side goes, and you also want GK reasonably quick. So you're looking around about 200 for those two, because you want to put the days down on the AOE, and you want to put Retribution up before Grievous goes. A Jawa in there will call an assist, so you get additional hits, and then you change it up. Yeah. And the 3 I didn't mention, whoever they are for you, you want to mod. You don't want speed on them. You want all your heavy hitting mods. You want to boost the offense as much as possible. The physical damage, just go for that, or the crits or whatever. You just want. They don't need the speed, because of course they're just in retribution mode. So they're countering constantly. So just get them hitting as hard as possible.
All right.
Yeah, I agree. That's cool. Oh, hey Finn, hey, real quick, I wanted to go back to Bradzode's first question. The what do we think? Yeah, what do we think is coming up? So there's obviously a Hoth game mode coming, right? I mean, we know this. They've already said it. But going to what you kind of mentioned, Finn, do you think it's actually possible they might introduce the Inferno Squad from Battlefront? Because they did mention it's going to be in a forest setting, and there's the warriors are restless or whatever, and I mean the AD-ST might be an addition, or might be there as well. But I mean, do you think this is a bigger announcement for I don't want to say a new game mode, but maybe it's a new raid or something big, that's going to be taking place in Endor, because there's no forest on Hoth, right? So you can kind of rule that out, that this might be a whole new raid or a game mode or something to that effect. So
let's talk about the picture that shall not be named, that I think most of the people have seen already. It looked, based on that image, that there were multiple different rounds. Each round has a timing associated with it. So it wouldn't surprise me if there is something like that, probably in like a later round, where maybe in the first round it's a little bit simpler to allow for maybe the more casual, lower level guild. Each round progressively gets harder until maybe the last guild is either for players with specific squads, or kind of just for whales to kind of run over. And in that scenario, I can definitely see something like that maybe in a later round. My initial guess would be that the ATST might be early, since right now they're kind of pointing to the Ewoks. There might be like an ATST, and like I think the non-existent picture had a ATST shown in round 2 or something like that. So it's possible that they would do something a lot more difficult and maybe a lot of fun, similar to like maybe a mini raid of some kind. In like a later round. So yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all if that's what they do.
Unless they're just alluding to the fact that maybe that's how we get Wicket, right? Because it hasn't, I know we mentioned it's going to be a marquee event, so maybe the marquee event does,
that is what they implied. Like, they had said it in some of the other updates, that whatever we were going to do for Wicket was going to be similar to like a mini territory battle. So it seemed like they were doing that in order to give us an idea about what this new gameplay mode was going to be like. Because I think we have some inclination that there's going to be like a different scoring system associated with it, and somehow you're moving through the rounds and accumulating. So it's quite, that's my guess as to what the marquee event for Wicket is going to be, like a mini territory battle. I don't know if that's going to be exactly what we will see in the actual territory battle, though. Like, if this is kind of a rigged up, smaller version that they're making exclusive for Wicket, or whether this is actually like something they already have coded in the territory battle itself.
Right.
But yeah, so the Inferno Squad, I think, would be pretty cool and would make sense in kind of a later round if it is designed so that each round gets progressively harder and harder to progress on. So let's go to Mike. So I'm not sure that this is entirely a serious question, but I will ask it to you anyways, Mike. So I'm not sure that this is an actual squad, nor is the name very easy to pronounce, so I'm going to be very careful here. And the name is Moy Lester. I tried to say it, so...
That's great, man. What a great name.
And the question is, I am running a Zeta Lumi lead with a Zeta Tau, a Zeta Bodhi, a Zeta Chewbacca, and a K2SO. K2SO. I seem to really struggle in Arena. Any advice?
Okay, so to shed some light,
I love our viewers.
Boy Lester is one of my officers in my guild. He he provides lots of laughs. He actually has wave hello to Mike's YouTube appear in one of my phase 1 who's on fifths because of the in-game messaging and so on. Yeah, I saw this question and I think he's lying. I think that he doesn't drop one thing, because as far as I'm concerned, Lumi is the most OP character in AI SWGOH. Definitely. Yeah, whenever I face her in Galactic War, it's like, what, how many hits? I mean, she's worse than old Ben.
That's pretty bad.
So personally, I think that he's lying. I think that wherever he gets to, he stays there.
All right. So we're coming to an end here on the stream. We have a few questions that we'll just go quickly around the horn and get everyone's thoughts on. But thank you all for watching. And if you guys do have additional questions, make sure to stop by the RSG Discord after the stream, and we'll continue to answer questions with whoever is available to answer them. So let's go around the horn here for a few questions. So this one is from Chrome Cobra. So he asked, how was everybody's drop rates the past few days on double drops? So have any of you guys taken advantage of the double drops on Chirpa or Ewok, Elder, Scout, Tebow?
I seem to average on the normal nodes. I think I got 2s on most of them. I did them for Shard Shop currency. Chirpa, yeah, I believe my alt did okay. Hasn't unlocked him, but got quite a few shards.
Right.
I'm sorry, I can't give an exact number, but yeah, they're not too bad. They're not as bad as Gar and Super Pooper.
Yeah, I had all of them 7-starred, and I didn't really need to focus on Shard Shop, so I didn't really get... I'm not able to really test out much of the double drops, so I'm not sure if the double drops are any different. I know for the non-double dropped nodes, it was pretty much the same, so I didn't notice in any other nodes getting affected by it. Bella and Loki, any experience with the double drops? Or are you guys done with Ewoks?
I mean, I've done 2 of the Ewoks already. I got them to 7 stars, and I was working on my Chirpa. And so with the login, it wasn't... I mean, I have him now at 7-star, so only the Scout is missing. I did a few runs on the double drops, and the thing is, if you win 0 shards times 2, that's still 0. so it's only if you win 1 shard, you can take advantage of the double drop, and so you often get 0, or you get 2.
Yeah.
So what I like is that people have to watch out and look and who's today's double drops. If they could do that continuously, that would be fun. for the people who haven't 7-starred all their characters. I know some said, well, I want to know exactly, or they were disappointed because they thought Ewoks, all Ewoks were had double drops. But I think it's fun that you have to actually look out and find out where the double drops is.
Mm-hmm. And Loki?
I did the same thing like Mike. I just farmed it for shard shop currency because I'm currently slowly getting Gar Saxon out of the shard shop, but the drops have been decent. You know, I mean, it was better than Phoenix. For some reason, Phoenix double drop for me wasn't too great, but the Ewok ones have been they've been good.
All right. So next question. So you guys can either pick Team 1 or Team 2. So this question is from Timmy Ratio, and his question is, which team do you think is better defending in Arena? So Team 1 is Zeta Vader lead with General Kenobi, Sith Assassin, Darth Nihilus, and Thrawn. Or Team 2, which is a Rex lead, R2-D2, Thrawn, Nihilus, and General Kenobi. And Thrawn's unique is Zeta. So which team is better for on defense? Loki.
We're
Hello?
running a phone poll.
Hello? No, that's not me. Going to the question. Okay, so if you're in a shard with a lot of Rex lead squads, I will say the Zader squad will hold better, but your Sith Assassin has to be faster than anybody else on their team. So the Triple Cleanse team is normally slow. So if your Sith Assassin is faster than, let's say, their Rex or their Chirrut, then I would say the Zader squad. Otherwise, the Rex squad historically holds better just because it's easier to play. The AI plays the Rex lead squads better.
Okay. Mike?
Yes.
Which team do you think is better? Team 1 with the Zader lead or Team 2 with the Rex lead?
For defense, probably Rex, just because of the Termita game. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Team 2.
Team 2. And Bella?
I would have gone for Team 2 as well.
Okay. I think I would go for Team 1 because of Sith Assassin, then Nihilus, who can then do the cooldown reduction, and then Thrawn can fracture. So it seems like Team 1 may be a little bit better on defense, but they're both relatively close. But there you have it. So that's the answer to Timmy's question. Timmy! Next question is for... so we'll go around here. So the question is from the new lifter. And his question is, I have an Empire team with Vader, Tarkin, and Palpatine as my most starred in gear tunes. Who is the best leader for the Ewok assault battle, and any suggestions for the other slots on my Empire team? I have Royal Guard, TIE Fighter Pilot, Thrawn, Veers, Stormtrooper, all roughly 6-star gear 6, could upgrade 2 potentially to fill up the team. So we'll ask you everyone kind of 2 questions here. So the first one is, who would you put in if his only characters are Vader? Because the event does do droids and Empire. So if his is only Empire and he has those characters, who would you put in for the other 2? And did you guys then complete it, and who did you use? So let's start with Bella.
The event being the
Ewok assault
event,
battle.
right?
Yeah, the Ewok one.
Yeah, I actually used Palpatine lead and had Vader on it, R2, the TIE Fighter Pilot, and Royal Guard.
Okay.
That's a funny mixture, but why not? But I haven't completed the bonus tier, I have to say.
Okay. And then for his squad with his all Empire, so Vader, Tarkin, Palpatine are his best, and then he has Royal Guard, TIE Fighter, Thrawn, Veers, and Stormtrooper.
probably would go for Tarkin, but I haven't worked with Tarkin there.
Okay. And Mike, what do you think about his Empire squad? Who would you put as his 5?
See, if he could put the Zeta onto Tarkin's lead, he'd have kind of the core squad that I ran. I decided on I was going to run a Tarkin lead, and then discovered photographic memory was a bit fuzzy at the time. Of course, that none of the Ewoks have protection. They're loose. Yeah, we need to get some prophylactics in there quick. I know, but maybe that's why there's so many of them. But of course, if they don't have protection, and you do have a Zeta on Tarkin's lead, as soon as you hit them, you expose them, which just makes putting them down a lot quicker. If he doesn't, then he's going to struggle a bit on there. Who were his 3 that he could gear up?
So the 3 that he had already geared up were Vader, Tarkin, and Palpatine. The other characters he had are Royal Guard, TIE Fighter, Thrawn, Veers, and Stormtrooper.
See, having Thrawn kind of appearing in virtually every squad I run at the moment, I would advocate gearing Thrawn up, because he can also, it's not going to be a bespoke gearing as such. You're going to use him, you will use him, and you want him as higher geared as possible, really. So I don't think you could go wrong with gearing Thrawn up. Maybe something to point out is kind of strategy as well, of how you're going about it. For myself, I target Elder. Elder's got to go first, because otherwise all he's going to do is just show you how fast that these Ewoks spring up. So you take your Elders out, and then you've got to take your Scouts, because your Scouts are doing all the damage until you get to the final stage, number 8.
Yeah, see, I did it differently. I did it with the Scouts, because they do all the damage and they're really squishy. Like they drop with a basic. So I was killing all the Scouts first and then focusing on the Elders. So I didn't really focus too much on the Warriors, or I think one had a T-bow. So I didn't really focus on those, but I took out the Scouts and then I started focusing on the Elders. And then anytime they popped up a Scout, I would just take it out and then move back to the Elder.
Yep, and also utilize the in-game buffs.
Yes.
The in-challenge buffs. If you haven't noticed, you on the far right, on the abilities and that, you have a buff there. Tarkin lead probably helps with that, because whatever you're going to do, you have him plus 20 speed on everyone.
And he does say that he does not have the Tarkin Zeta.
Right. Yeah. So even with that, I'd still. Yeah, it's a. The Vader lead does bring something as well, doesn't it? But I like my Tarkin lead. I do. But yeah. Coming back to what your strategy is, as long as you can put the Elder down before he can revive some of the Scouts that you've already taken out, then that is a better strategy for sure. It's if you're struggling, it's going to be partly RNG, and the other part is how you actually approach each phase. What I did find was the leaving T-bow to last really helps. T-bow's so tanky and he's not doing too much damage that you can just go on basics and reset as many cooldowns as you can before putting him down.
Yeah, I did the same with T-bow.
Yeah, you use T-bow just to reset your cooldowns, so you're ready. You're ready for the next one.
Yep.
And use your specials sparingly.
All right, and Loki.
So based on the team I actually use a Thrawn lead with Darth Vader, Tarkin, Shore Trooper, and TIE Fighter pilot. So I agree, you got to get down. I actually do your strategy, Finn, where I actually take down the attackers and all the squishy guys first. But normally the AoEs that I have on the squad, so from Vader, from Tarkin, and TIE Fighter pilot, usually wipes out all the squishy attackers. And then Thrawn has fracture, so I like to fracture the elders to kind of slow him down. And then Vader as well has an ability block on his basic, so I just kind of keep them under control and just wear them down. So to answer the question, I would look into either a Thrawn lead or a Vader lead, and then definitely run Tarkin. I don't like Palpatine because he's just super squishy. So if the attacker gets a rock off or an arrow or something, I mean, he's one shot, he's gone, right? So I stay away from him, but definitely Shore Trooper or some kind of tank, you need that. And then Grand Admiral Thrawn can use his turn meter swap on the tank to kind of heal him. So just keep all that in mind, but definitely get the Empire characters that can do AoEs, and then the ability blocks help and the fracture helps from Thrawn. And if he has his Thrawn at 6-star, I agree with Mike. Just invest in him for the future. I mean, it's worth it because you're going to use Thrawn in a lot of other parts of the game. I mean, he's arena viable, and you can use him in Galactic War. You can use him in the raids. So he's that good, to invest in.
Yeah, and I think I agree with Loki there. I wouldn't use Palpatine. He might be useful. You might have to play around with it a little bit just to see how your timing works, because your speed on these characters does matter. Based on your squad, I think I would go with a Vader lead, a Tarkin, Royal Guard, TFP, and Thrawn. Maybe, depending on your speed, if Royal Guard ends up taunting early, he's going to get hit by all of the Ewoks and just get taken out. So he could just be a wasted spot there. So maybe Palpatine will be better there for the AoE stun. My squad, unlike I think all of you guys, I used actually droids. So I went with a HK-47 lead with 86, 88, and then Vader and Palpatine. So that was my 5-person squad, just because it has a lot of AoE in order to take out those scouts. So I basically rotated between like IG-88, Emperor Palpatine, HK-47, and Zader, and every time or just Vader. Mine isn't Zader yet, but every time you do an AoE, all the little guys drop, and then I can manage to keep up with the small reses and then take out the Elder. So I went more droid-oriented than Empire on mine. All right. And so this will be our last question of the stream here, as we're just breaking over 2 hours. So the last question is from Bob. So kind of ending where we started off here. So Bob with an H, Bob, asks, in Phase 1, what Jedi team gets the most damage with no Kenobi? So we'll just go around and ask all of you guys. So what Jedi team have you used that's gotten you the most damage without using Kenobi? So Mike, start with you here. It might be a while now, but
yeah, it is a while since. Yeah, that sync is so much fun. JKA lead, Ahsoka. Who else was in there? Isla. You want Isla in there as well. Ima, because he just does a ton of damage on droids. Mm-hmm. He really does. I mean, this is the highest scoring one.
Yeah.
Personally, I prefer to run an Ima lead. It doesn't score as high, but I know it's balanced. It seems to last a bit longer. And then the fifth was, I used to alternate between Qui-Gon, but Qui-Gon's super squishy, and Mace. But yeah, I think Mace actually gave me my highest score, with pre GK sync.
Right. All right. Bella, how about you? What has been your best non-General Kenobi Jedi squad in Phase 1 of Heroic AAT?
Yes, the thing is, I just got General Kenobi last week, so I don't run a GK sync right now. I didn't upgrade Isla and Barris yet, so what I run is Imagandai lead, JKA, Ahsoka Tano, Yoda, and Qui-Gon Jinn. And I managed to get something like 260, 270k damage with that one.
All right.
Which is okay, I think. It's not the million some people get, but you get some damage done.
Yeah. You get your 2%. That's the critical thing.
Yeah, more than 2%,
yes.
Actually.
And Loki?
So the last team I remember running, I'm actually bringing up like old screenshots I got. It was a I'm a Gundy lead with Isla and Anakin, Jedi Fulcrum. I'm sorry, Jedi Ahsoka Tano. And I think I had a Zeta Barris on it. So, I still have a Zeta Barris sitting on my bench. But I was able to pull like 350,000. I think that's decent for a non-Kenobi sync team. But, this team was actually, if I remember correctly, this team was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And it stayed alive. I mean, you got Barris in there with their Zeta, and everybody was getting health back. And then Ahsoka gave health gain again. And then Anakin and then the three heavy hitters would just go in and hit Grievous. So I would try that.
All right, and then I think my best Jedi squad in Phase 1 was Jedi Knight Anakin lead with an Imagundi, Ayla, Ahsoka Tano, and then in the 5th spot, if Grievous was above 50%, I would use Yoda, and if he was below, I would use Qui-Gon. So, and both of them were pretty decent, somewhere around 250 to 275 if I remember correctly. So yeah, so that concludes all of our questions for today. If you guys have additional questions, make sure you hop in the Discord, but let's go ahead and let everyone kind of pimp their channels and what they're working on. So let's start with Loki.
You can find me on YouTube. It's Sir Loki, SIRLOKI. Doing arena battles right now, so it's like the meta teams versus other meta teams. If you're curious to see how other stuff holds up in arena, check out my channel for sure. And then I also do have some raid videos up, Phase 3 teams. You can check that out. And then finally, been doing a lot of lightsaber builds. So if you're interested in that hobby, check out some of my builds, check out some of the videos, and yeah, if you like them and comment on them. And as always, thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Definitely. And Mike, you're up next.
Yeah, currently I need to get him some videos. I'm doing a collab with Virtual Gaming World. I've been very, very bad on content recently on that. That will be addressed over the weekend, hopefully. Currently I'm farming Gar, so I'm recording all my Cantina farms of Gar. Apparently I've heard rumor that there's Amigas that drop on his farm, but I've yet to find that, and that's over 1,000 Cantina energy so far. Yeah. So I may mention that during the farms. Heads up, if you like me moaning, then you'll love these. When I can get to actually compete in Phase 1, I'll be resuming my Who's on 5th. Cover the raid. And I'm fortunate. I'm in a competitive arena. I've got one of the top collection scores in game on my shard, which does make for interesting. Like, I missed out. He was running a 7-star Gar with Thrawn, Nihilus, GK, and I can't remember who the 5th was. But it was just a counter. It was the countering team. and I missed the opportunity of getting that. He's switched around at the moment, but hopefully that will go back and I'll try that. But yeah, and just general content. Come check me out. MikeHunt spells Mike Hunt.
All right, and then the Lady of the Sith, Miss Darth Bella.
Yeah, I've got my own channel now. It's called Darth Bella. And I just started to do something new, Finity. You know that?
I do.
Yes. Started to interview some of you guys, and Finity was my first victim. So you can go and check out my interview with Finity, and there's more to follow. But of course, it takes quite some time to do such a video. So don't expect me to publish one every second day. The ones who do videos know about that. I didn't know before. I just started with video editing a few months back, and it's some work. I can appreciate much more now what the YouTubers are doing for the community. And yes, in game I just keep collecting my Jedi's upgrade and gear, my General Kenobi. So I'm busy there.
All right.
And thanks for having me on the show. It was fun.
Definitely fun having all of you guys on here. So this was the Finity taking over the RSG for the Jedi Academy today. Ranger will hopefully be returning next week. But just to kind of tell you about Reality Skewed Gamers, so we have 2 live streams. We do the Jedi Academy at 10 a.m. On Saturday mornings. I don't want to do it tomorrow too. Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. we do Jedi Academy. And then our regular stream, which is on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. So Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, that's when we do our overview of all of the news that's been going on. And usually we have some information dropping right around that time. So it's usually your first look into that information. Make sure that you check us out on Twitter, Reality Skewed Gamers. You'll get updates whenever we have a live stream or a new video that's going up. We also have a store at cafepress.com/Reality Skewed Gamers, where we have some older merchandise up there, but we're working on some new ones with our new logo and some suggestions from our viewers, so definitely make sure you check us out. Look in the description of this YouTube video. You will see a link to all of the the panelists here, a link to their YouTube channels, so make sure you go to their pages and you subscribe. Also hop on to the RSG Discord, which is also in the YouTube description, so that you can join us, ask questions, and just go ahead and talk to us about whatever it is that you want. We have stuff for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes as well as other games as well, so definitely make sure you drop on by. And with that, we are bringing the Jedi Academy to a close today. So once again, thank you to Darth Bella, Mike Hunt, and Sir Loki for joining us and asking questions for the viewers. And we will see you next week.